Okay, you guys tell me if you see anyone pop in there and I'll let them in the class. And probably best way to share the screen. And we'll do that. Nope. Yep, there we go. I still need to get this one up for you guys, okay? There we go. All right. Still have rules I need to follow. Okay, there we go. So now that we've covered fibers, threads, and yarns, right? You're starting to see that now. You have your swatch book. You're getting it organized. And you're noticing that they also identify how the fabric was made. So to keep things kind of basic, just remember with those threads and yarns, you can either use a machine where it's woven together, right? Or you knit it together, you knit or crochet, you know, that type of thing, where you interlace the yarns and threads to create the fabric. And then it can also be melted down and pressed. Okay, so think about like foamy vinyl things, right? That's a pressed, that's a pressed piece of fabric. It's not knitted or woven. Also, many times things that are pressed, the material that's pressed like that is the backing on stuff as well, or vice versa. Sometimes they'll have a piece of woven fabric that backs a piece of flat pressed fabric of a vinyl, or it's usually a synthetic, yeah, it's a synthetic material that they've melted down, kind of rolled it out flat, and then it's cured and it's flat, not like similar to a leather, right? Leather is the natural flat type of material, skins, right, versus the synthetic alternative. Okay. All right. So today we just want to talk about woven fabrics, okay? And there is the little video and Dr. Newcomb's old lectures, which is wonderful. So she has them both up there on the chapter, but also the swatch set that you'll be working on. Now at this time, we'll go ahead and look at it. When we did this was for COVID, all right? But again, we're getting the meat again, and it really is the same concept and content, okay? So I brought the loom out for you. See there? That's the loom. And we have a few of them. Hold on, I'm going to show it to the recording there too. And I found my cotton plant. I forgot I had a cotton plant, but you want to see that. Okay, so the loom that you see there in the PowerPoint. Okay, I'll bring it up. Get a feel for it. So the foundational principles, you notice, are the same. Okay, you're going to, as you're watching this, you're going to learn to identify the different threads and stuff. Okay. Now, of course, with manufacturing, we have much larger loom and machines, right? Right. And then the basic parts of the loom. Now, this isn't necessary for you to know all this, except I want you to keep in mind the word right here, warp. All right. So the long piece of threads, the long yarns here are your warp threads, okay? And then the filling yarn, it's also called weft, W-E-F-T. But these filling yarns are then the ones that go in and out, right? You take one over, pull it down, bring it back, pull it down. Okay, just like over there, all right? Now, here again. So those warp yarns that are running the length of that loom that you see right there. Let me do this. whole bunch of these yarns. And then you're doing one at a time over here, right? You might do two, you might do three. So the density of a fabric has to do with how many warp yarns that you have in this direction. Okay, that's what really counts when you look and zoom in on those little squares. How dense it, like if you push it together, it gets stronger and stronger and stronger, right? But you only have so much room that you can press it down this way. Does that make sense? Now you notice when we want a woven texture or a woven pattern, that's where it comes into play with the type of weft yarns too that you bring in to develop that beautiful woven pattern that you want. And you'll see that like with brocade fabrics and the more higher end pieces with apparel and furniture. And that's why it's expensive, because it really is a piece of artwork when they come down to the design of it and developing the final product on the machine. Okay. Your basic plain weave. And the edge where it loops, that's your selvage. In sewing, that's very important. Okay. All right. These are all woven. Here's the woven fabrics. For my future interior designers. Take a look at those. See the detail in the pattern. Okay. Flip it on the back side. See what you get. Okay. Try to pull on it. Pull it this way, see how strong it is. Okay, nice woven piece of fabric there. Right there. Boop. Okay. I'll be even before my battery dies and I lose internet. Okay. So what I was showing you there is that's the slide with the decorative yarn, right? Okay. Now a basket weave is with multiple yarns in those directions. Okay, so you know, skip 2, add 2, skip 3, add 3, types like that. This is a 4x4 basket weave. So 4 threads, okay, nice and strong. A rib weave, like for taffeta. Okay, novelty rib. So they give you examples down here. So it's just alternating those threads, which we knew that when you look at the loom, how you can be creative with what it's doing, going in and out of the warp yarns with the weft yarns or the filling yarns, okay? I don't know if this will help you at all. This is the way I've remembered. So when I'm looking at a loom and I know my warp yarns are like this, right? Then my threads, my filling threads are going right or weft. I don't know if that'll help or not, but that's all I've remembered it. And then here is more detail weaves. So you can do so much. See that with the threads and yarns, the type of density, texture, pattern that you can do to take the woven principle to get the end product of the fabric. I just think these are so cool. Twill is very important. We see that a lot, don't we? Especially in upholstery. I'll tell you that right now. The twill, the nice thing about twill is just that soft hint of texture can add a lot of warmth to whatever you're applying it to, whether it's clothing, accessories like pillows. You see that a lot of times on pillows, right? Bedding, tableware, all kinds of stuff, furniture. It's a good weave. All right. Yep, yep. The sateen weave. Yeah. So that's a very delicate, yeah, that's a very delicate weave, but it does create a beautiful sheen that's your goal to get with your fabrics. There's an example. Oh, I called it sateen weave. It's satin weave, but you get this, I'm sorry. I knew that you get the sateen finish from it. I'm sorry about that. I got a little dyslexic there. Here's some more examples. Okay, now the jacquard. This is, look at that. Isn't that gorgeous? Oh, our damask. The damask is actually, jacquard is the name of the loom. I don't know if you knew that or not. That's just a little history for you. So with the jacquard loom, you can get a damask or brocade, matelas. Yeah, really, really beautiful stuff. And then you have the tapestries with the needle point on top. Okay, now with some weaves, what you can do is also add cuts to it. And that's what we're getting to now. These are the fancy weaves. So you have that dense amount of yarns, and you've done some weaving there with the loom, and then you're able to do a slight cut across on top, and all of a sudden you have velvets, corduroys, velours. Now I'm going to show you something else. Okay, ready? That's called a carpet pile, right? The pile, right? Oops. So you all had your dishcloths and your towels, and that's all that good stuff there. You won't be expected to like identify a lot of this, but some things you need to be able to keep some of these words in your professional jargon. Okay, and that's what jargon means, that vocabulary that's just in your industry, so that you can all talk to one another. So this pretty little embroidered type of little eyelet there going on with the stitching. Oh yeah, eyelet, there it is. That's a nice detail fabric, right? Fancy weave. So you may have to be speaking to a representative in the industry about this if you're looking up something for a client, or even the client may call you on the phone and say, you know, my great aunt had these beautiful window treatments in her kitchen. They were edged with this lovely eyelet and lace, blah, blah, blah. So all of a sudden you're able to identify that type of fabric. Okay, very good. All right. Move this far. There we go. Has anyone come into the Zoom meeting yet? That's me. Okay, so you can also listen to Dr. Newcomb's lecture there. This is on the chapter, I think. Yep. Yep. That's everything. I was just going over myself. So this is the stuff we just looked at, Dr. Newcomb's PowerPoint presentation, but then this goes along with your chapter reading in the textbook. And we want to make sure we understand this count, okay? I apologize. I had found another textbook that I had at home on textiles. I'm going to bring it with me. But I may make some copies of the portion in there because they really explain thread count really, really well. But in your swatch book, you were given a little foldable magnifying glass, right? So what you're able to do with those fabric swatches, did you see where I bubble wrapped yours? I was so paranoid. Oh my. So here, you have this little square 1 inch by 1 inch, and that's a 1 inch by 1 inch on purpose. Okay? Yeah, that's right. So, well, I'm trying to remember now how I can get the, I think that's it. I'm really scared of losing track of my things here, so I'm really careful using that top one. Yep, there we go. So now, you'll be able to take your fabric swatch, right? And look at the density and count across how many warp threads you have. Okay, so you know when you hear someone saying, oh, I just got the most beautiful 300 count Egyptian sheets, cotton, they're so wonderful and crisp and good. That's why. So the principle is the more thread count you have, right, the higher quality of your fabric because it's stronger, denser, if that's what you're looking for. But it also goes back to the size of your threads and yarns now also, because some companies will mislead you because of microfibers now. So these some threads and yarns are so thin that they don't really equal up the size of standard yarns, and they may say 300 count when it's really equal to 150. So just be careful. And if you still have your little magnifying glass, you can actually look in on it and see how dense it is. Okay. All right. And these are the characteristics of those yarns that we're just talking about. So the warp yarns are stronger and they're very uniformed. And our filling yarns, or the weft, right, are less uniform, but those are the ones that have the power to create pattern, right, texture. Okay. And then remember what side of the selvage, do you remember this, which side, what did the selvage look like? That's right, very good. So over here, but if you're going that way and that way, then if I cut my material here, right, and I didn't cut this side, this would be my selvage side. So if you could take where we use the crimping tool on the samples that you have before you, you can see that all that will fray apart. You can actually pull the threads apart right there. Do you think you can determine which one's the warp and which one's the weft? You can pull yours apart if you want to. Take a look at it, because look, I'm using a gray thread and an aqua thread here. That's giving me the special look on it. While I have these green threads that are standard and thick one across. So which ones do you think are your warp threads?
Your lefty. I was going to say the other side.
Yep, it's because see, this is the denser part, and And this is the thread that's making it special.
Okay.
Yeah, does that make sense? You guys can tear yours apart. It's really neat. You look at the different colors and how they,
So this one though, right here, this would be the warp side, right? Or, no, wait, warp here. Oop, warp is, warp's the front right here.
very good. Yeah, see, do you see how many you have there?
Yeah.
See how dense it is? Now, imagine that being the loom, right? And then you take these special threads, you know, I might use, alternate X amount of warp threads to go in and out with this blue, and then cross counter with that with the gray. And then I've had this specialty weave here.
I was getting into the west and north mixed up.
It's hard, I tell you. Do you see that? Do you see how that works? Isn't that cool? Maybe I get too excited over textiles. I don't know. All right. Oh, you know what? Let me I'll put that on the recording. Okay, just so we see that here with the camera. There we go. The warp ones with the weft threads right there. So when you can pull these up, there's an aqua one and a gray one. So they've been going back and forth to create that texture there, that special weave. Okay. All right. Or anything else, let me return this blue sample back. There we go. All right. How scared were you guys mixing up your sample swatches? I know. Oh, goodness gracious. All right. So now grain, you'll hear that grain, off grain. You've heard that before? Have you ever done any sewing or just looking at dresses and stuff? So the fabric name will help you with the structure, the balance, and the weight. And this is a good example. This is actually looking down on our sample right here, and these little threads standing up, and then the ones going in and out. See there? It's a really good example. And what this will help you with, when you determine the way it was woven, then it helps you to proceed then what you will do with the surface of it and what you get from it, right? Once it's woven, you can see what type of weave it is, if it has a pattern to it, right? Okay. And then you can also see the types of yarns or threads that were used to create it. And if it's more or less absorbent and any of the other qualities that may come from the way you have it woven. Okay, that's the performance part that you're looking at. And then this presentation gives you some examples of what you get from different types of weaves. Now you've all seen organza and chiffon and georgette, I'm positive. Did all of you guys go to the prom? Have you been to a wedding? Okay, those are those very sheer, delicate fabrics that you can, they're very translucent. You can really see through them. Okay.
A veil?
Yeah, like a veil, very much. Yeah, yeah. Okay, now the light opaque ones, obviously silk, because it's still a delicate, lightweight fabric many times, but you can't see through it, right? Okay. Medium weights. Yep, especially, and think of muslin, the polished cotton, that would be your sheets. Okay, tablecloths. There's some more. And then your heavier ones. Okay. And then this goes into more detail with the type of twill weave, what you get from that and those qualities. And so this will help you when you're describing your swatches in your book and you're looking at things. Remember, I gave you those samples of ones that were kind of loosely described, the ones that were medium described, and then the teachers. So, but you know, also too, you have a lot of good examples there online that you can go back and look at too. But others, remember that I added a burn test comparison that other people have found when they burn certain things. Same thing with your swatches and identifying them and coming up with descriptions. Okay, so go through this and get used to woven fabrics. You don't have to jump ahead too much. Okay, just kind of focus on how something is woven and how it's made that way, the kind of fabric you get just from weaves. Okay, and next Monday, Dr. Newcomb will be here and we will talk about knits. So like I said, don't worry about knits right now. Just get used to weaves, things that are woven, okay? Because I know textiles is extremely content heavy. I mean, that's like a lot of information that you're taking on, but this is your very first one and then it's introductory to it, okay? Because we also cover the more specific textiles and their applications in your other classes as well. When you start pulling upholstery swatches, carpeting, material for the wall, material for window treatments, you start thinking about that then. And that's the whole intent with the course, okay? Just to get you introduced to it. Because it is overwhelming. My class scared me when I was your age. And that was like a long time ago. So it's never changed. But it's really good. Everyone who gets through textiles, you feel very accomplished afterwards. All right? Okay, very good. So I'm going to end it there. There's no assignment this week except continue to organize your swatch book and look at these descriptions. And kind of, you might want to get a little bit ahead of the game and see, okay, this is for a plain weave. This is a twill weave. Okay, start looking at those. Okay, and you have all these examples here to match up. And you have your little magnifying glass if you want to look at it. Okay, okay. Well, I'm going to end that there then. And